This post says rinsing your hair in diet soda is really good for it. I wonder if I should... Wait. I'm doing it again, aren't I? Okay, this video I saw says you can make a face mask out of mayonnaise, and it gives you the clearest, most glowing skin. Let's do this. Ooh. Yeah, that didn't help my skin, but it did make me smell like a sandwich. And now that I think about it, soda probably just makes hair sticky. Sometimes I can get carried away believing things I see online or on TV. Well, some of it's really persuasive. So I've been working on my critical thinking skills to help think more carefully about what I see and hear. In this lesson, we'll explore how to determine if a post, ad, or article is one-sided or unfair. And we'll look at how these kinds of messages can use dramatic language to try and manipulate us. Ready? Let's go! In the past, if you wanted to hear news, you had to find a newspaper or wait for someone to tell you, and you might see a few ads a day, if that. But now, we see messages every time we pick up our phones, scroll through social media, or even just walk outside. We're surrounded by messaging, often without realizing it. Social media, news, ads, videos, articles, it's all part of what we call media, which means anything used to share information and messages with an audience. And we're exposed to a lot of it every day. So it makes sense that sometimes it's hard knowing what to pay attention to or believe. We've all heard stories of people falling for online scams or believing a rumor. So how can we avoid that? By using critical thinking, which is the ability to analyze information, question assumptions, and make well-reasoned decisions, instead of just accepting things at face value. It's a skill you use all the time, whether you're learning new things, making friends, or pursuing your goals. And in this case, we'll use our critical thinking skills to analyze how media influences us. What's being said? How is it being said? And what messages might be hidden beneath the surface? That way, we can make informed choices and form thoughtful opinions. Last time, we evaluated sources by considering whether their purpose was to inform or persuade us. We'll use a similar mindset to analyze media. The trick is to look beyond the surface-level meaning and consider what else is being said. It's called an implicit message, a meaning or idea that isn't directly stated, but is suggested through words, images, or tone. Let's check out an example. Can you spot what's being implied here? Consider this ad. Make your family proud with better grades. Download this study app today. The main message is clear. This company wants us to buy their app. But what else is it saying? Think about the words the ad uses. What implicit messages or indirectly stated ideas do you notice? Pause to write some ideas in your guided notes. Well, it implies that my grades are bad and that I need good grades, or else my family won't be proud. It also suggests that my family isn't already proud of me. And of course, it's implying that this app in particular will improve grades. So why did that company put those implicit messages in their ad? Think about how they're trying to make us feel. Now I'm worried about my grades. Are they good enough? Am I good enough? Ugh. Does everyone hate me? And the ad is trying to manipulate us into thinking that app will fix these feelings. That's why critical thinking is important. So we can say, hey, my family's proud of me for all kinds of things. I'm proud of me. I don't need that app. That's how critical thinking helps us make informed choices. We can focus on our needs and wants and not get tricked by implicit messages. Let's take a closer look at how media can mislead us by considering one of the implicit messages in that ad. It implies that this app in particular will improve your grades. It doesn't offer a few alternatives or consider both the pros and cons of the app. That's called bias, when information is presented in a way that favors one side or opinion over others, instead of being neutral or balanced. We can expect ads to be biased. They're designed to persuade us, so of course they're a little one-sided. But bias can show up in places where we don't expect it. Some media, like the news, is supposed to inform us, not convince us to take a side. That's why we need to think critically about how information is presented, especially when word choices subtly push an opinion. Let's look at an example. Check out this headline. Brilliant new law finally fixes broken school system. This news article should give neutral, balanced information about a new law and its impact. But take a look at how it's phrased. What words in this headline show bias or a preference? Pause to answer in your guided notes. Well, it calls the new law brilliant. That's an opinion, not a fact. And it describes the previous system as broken, which is a loaded, judgmental word. Using the verb fixes reinforces both of those implicit messages. The old system was bad, and this new law is good. What would a neutral, unbiased version of this headline look like? How about, new law brings changes to current school system? This version states the facts without suggesting whether the law is good or bad. It just tells us what happened and lets the reader decide for themselves. There's nothing wrong with having a bias. Everyone has preferences and opinions. But when a source claims to be informative but is actually trying to persuade us, it can shape our opinions without us realizing. And bias isn't the only way media can influence us. We should also be aware of something called sensational language. Let's look at two video descriptions. The first doesn't use sensational language, and the second does. Can you figure out what sensational language means from these examples? The video description without sensational language says, study explores how common sleep habits negatively affect health. New research examines the effects of different sleep habits on overall health. Experts share insights on how sleep patterns influence well-being. Okay, so how is that different from this video description, which uses sensational language? This common sleep habit is wrecking your health. Doctors are begging you to stop. Experts are sounding the alarm on a shocking discovery about how most people sleep. If you don't change this habit now, you could be risking serious damage. Did you spot the difference? The second video sounded really dramatic and urgent, with words like wrecking and shocking. That's sensational language. Exaggerated words that grab attention and stir up emotions. You've probably seen it before in ads, social media, and the news. But why do media sources use it? Pause to write some ideas in your guided notes. Let's think. One reason is engagement. Dramatic language gets reactions, and the more we react, share, or comment, the more clicks they get. Another reason is emotion. Sensational language often triggers fear or anger, which makes us act quickly. But studies show that when we're emotional, we think less logically. That means sensational language can push us to make quick, emotional decisions instead of carefully thinking things through. By thinking critically, we can spot implicit messages, biases, and sensational language. And when we recognize these tactics, we can step back and make smarter choices, like not putting mayo on our faces. Next time, we'll take our critical thinking skills to the next level and learn to be proactive about what media we consume. Until then, remember, as we travel back, we learn forward. Every past lesson builds a brighter future. See you next time! Hey.